Hey, beautiful, welcome in. I am delighted to have you join us for a very special series of tarot and oracle readings honoring Black History Month. If this is your first video, I want to begin by sharing my inspiration and process for curating this series. But if you've already heard my spiel, you can use the timestamp in the caption below to skip straight to the reading. This series centers around a deck of cards that I've had for almost 2 decades. It is the African American Women Knowledge cards created by the Library of Congress. It was not created to be a spiritual deck. However, I've had the inclination for many years to use it as an oracle deck. And in February 2025, at the time that I'm recording this, I got the green light from my guides. So I cleansed the deck, I blessed it, and I modified it as I was guided to. And then I put out a call to the ancestors featured and celebrated in the deck to see who wanted to come forth and share messages of love, healing, and truth with me and my Café community. And from that call, we had 6 beautiful women ancestors respond, saying that they wanted to show up for us and share messages. And I've been spending time with these 6 beautiful women at my altar and just allowing their presence and their stories and their images really resonate and integrate and sink into my own psyche and spirit. And what you'll receive in each of these 6 videos is a message from one of these 6 ancestors. I begin with her image and her biography and any intuitive information, any intuitive insights that come through for me based on that information. And then I'll pull tarot and oracle cards to elaborate on the message and see what more we can learn from this beautiful ancestor. So go ahead and get comfy and cozy and get ready to fill your spiritual cup in communion with the ancestors. Greetings to our dear ancestor, Shirley Chisholm. We are grateful for your life and legacy, and we thank you for supporting us now with the message of love, truth, and healing. Shirley Chisholm, born 1924, running on the slogan Unbought and Unbossed. Shirley Chisholm made history in 1968 when she became the first Black woman elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Chisholm was also the first African American to represent her native Brooklyn in a district that had a majority Black population, but had long been under the control of white male Democrats. I have met far more discrimination as a woman than being Black in the field of politics, she reflected in the 1980s, referring as well to her 1972 bid for the Democratic presidential nomination. Chisholm served 7 terms in the House through 1982 as a champion of civil rights and women's issues. She was also a founder of the National Political Congress of Black Women. Nobody calls on Black women to find out what they're thinking because we're always part of somebody else's agenda. Chisholm has said, "I want to organize Black women in this country so that they'll become a force to be dealt with, a force like Chisholm herself." The one and only Shirley Chisholm. All right, so Unbought and Unbossed. The idea of liberation and freedom is very prevalent here. We have something that has already fallen out, so we will take it. Interesting. I'll get to the oracle card that fell, but just speaking to Chisholm's biography here, the Unbought and Unbossed is such a powerful slogan, right? It's such a powerful slogan, one that only a Black woman could run on. And when we think about being unapologetic, for example, and unbothered, and all these other words that we've come up with and used to empower ourselves and to, remind us to stand firmly in who we are and in our true power. I think this is, she was like the predecessor to the unapologetic, to the unbothered. She was before unapologetic, before unbothered. Shirley Chisholm was unbought and unbossed. And it's about sovereignty, retaining her own sense of sovereignty. It's one thing, was it Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou? One of our other ancestors said, "It is one thing to be free. It is another thing to take or claim ownership of that freed self. So Shirley Chisholm's Unbought and Unbossed is saying like, yes, I'm technically free, but more importantly, I'm going to remain free by retaining my own sovereign ownership of my life, my own sovereignty over my identity and who I am and my intentions and my path that I choose to walk. And also thinking about the sense of community that she created is coming through really importantly here and really significantly here. Just recognizing, who do you want to be in community with? Who is it important for you to co-create community with and for? And what's the intention behind that community, right? What's the purposefulness of that community? And obviously, it goes without saying that Shirley Chisholm coming out as part of this series and stepping forward and saying, I want to speak now, given the recent presidential campaign of Kamala Harris and just the current political landscape in general, right? That is not lost on me, the timing of this series and Shirley Chisholm being a part of the series and sort of being the center point, right? So there are 6 people. She's the 4th person that I'm reading. And yeah, it is, I've been talking a lot in just offline about how just like the personal is political, the spiritual is political. Just like the political is always personal, the political is always spiritual. And I think that's an important paradigm to have. And it might not resonate immediately. It might not sink in immediately, but political freedom, political liberation is a spiritual endeavor as much as anything else, because we are spirits first. Before we were human and after we are human, we are spirits. And so our true essence is spirit, not human body, not human form. That's not our authentic true form. We are spirits who happen to have bodies at this particular moment in time. And we chose to do that, right? And so it's meaningful, it's purposeful, and it's significant, but it is not our truest essence. And so because we are essentially spirits who happen to have bodies, everything we do in these bodies is a matter of spirit, including voting, including organizing, including running for office, including picketing and, building community and serving your community, representing your people, all the things. There's nothing that a human can do that is not a matter of spirit, that is not a spiritual matter, because humans are essentially spirits. And I think that's important to remember that as we look at the political landscape, as we look at political movements, as we look at politics in general, I think keeping that frame of reference of how is this an expression of our human spirit? How is this an expression of the spirit of humanity at this particular moment in time? And how is my participation in society an expression of my spirit? How is the way I show up step forward into my role as a citizen of the universe, a citizen of the cosmos, a citizen of Earth, a matter of my spirit, a reflection of my spirit, an expression of my spirit? That's coming through. And so much, just really underscoring the unbought and unbossed and that sense of sovereignty. You always have that, okay? And the oracle card that slid out as I was shuffling is number 7. the monarch, and victorious. This would be the chariot. This is equivalent to the chariot in tarot. So it's very interesting that we have the monarch. Let's start with that part of the card, because we're talking about politics, right? We're talking about someone who ran for president. And even though in the United States we have what we call our politics is a democracy, right? That's what we call it. And so we don't have a monarchy. We don't have a monarchy with kings and queens, right? And yet it's still this idea of rulership. It's still this idea of who's in charge. That is the question. Who's in charge? Who's ruling this space, this system, this part of the world? And it's not just ruling in society, it's also who rules me? Who is the ruler of my life? Who's the ruler of you? Who's the ruler of your life? Are you unbought and unbossed and therefore the ruler of your own life? Are you unbought and unbossed and therefore the ruler of yourself? I think that's the underlying message coming through with both Shirley Chisholm's biography and this oracle card is, again, taking the reins of your own life, reclaiming your sense of sovereignty. If you've lost it, maybe you're watching this and you already had it, never lost it, have been deep in it the whole time. But for others of us, sometimes we might forget. Sometimes we might lose touch with that locus of control. And, we've given the reins to some other entity or person or system outside of ourselves, and realizing I have to take back the reins and realize in any moment, at any crossroads, at any moment of decision, I am in control of the choice I make. And it's interesting because the subtitle for this card is victorious. And sometimes the external win, the win on paper, the human win is not the real victory. As I've already been saying in this video, the real victory is going to be a spiritual one, ultimately. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the real victories in our lives are always spiritual victories, whether we win the race or win the election or win the competition or win the debate or win the promotion or win the job or win the scholarship. All of those external material reality wins are not truly victory in the spiritual sense. What is the spiritual victory here? Even if it looks like you've lost on paper, even if it looks like you're losing in the three-dimensional realm, how is your spirit ultimately victorious and triumphing in the moment? That was a lot, just for the first two cards. We still are going to pull tarot from the Hoodoo Tarot deck. Oh, and if I didn't say it, the monarch in this deck is the chariot, or equates to the chariot in tarot. Okay. Additional messages wants to come through for elaboration here with our ancestor Shirley Chisholm. The example and message of her biography and spirit legacy. Okay. The first card is the Five of Knives. The Five of Knives. This is the fight. This is the energy that requires us to declare that we are unbought and unbossed. This is the organization. This is the resistance. This is the by any means necessary energy. This is I'm going to stand up for myself. This is I am not going to comply in advance. This is I am going to fight back when necessary. I am going to reclaim my power and step into my own power and realize that I am worth fighting for, that we are worth fighting for. Then we have the 3 of coins that came out with the 4 of sticks. This looks happy, doesn't it? And so what I get with this, because in this deck in particular, the 3 of coins is a woman who uses her gifts in a professional manner, who uses her gifts to help her clients. And so the example, the encouragement, and the inspiration from this particular ancestor, Shirley Chisholm, is there is a role you have in the community. There is something you can do very well, and you will be victorious at it. If you are in your bag, if you are stepping into your power, if you're doing what you were born to do, you will receive rewards. You will be victorious. Because it came out with the 4 of Wands, which is a celebration card. It is the card of harmony. It is the card of community and the foundations of our lives and the things we're celebrating. It could be the card of home. So maybe some of you work from home, right? And that in and of itself is a worthwhile endeavor, right? Is worth your spirit's, your soul's incarnation in this lifetime, is being so good at your gifts and leaning into them and celebrating them and allowing them to guide your choices is part of that spiritual victory as well. The spirits, your spirit guides, your ancestors, your creator, God, the whole cosmos celebrates you when you step into your lane, when you are deep in your bag, when you are fulfilling your role in the community, when you are minding your own business, when you are seated in your unique space, your unique gift, your unique talent. That brings joy, that creates a sense of community and organizing around what you have to offer. So in a very practical sense, this message seems like the most practical that we've channeled so far, in that you, whether it's a professional skill, professional talent, spiritual gift, physical talent or gift, professional experience, creative practice that you have, that you can use to form community and celebrate with your people. And it becomes a way to stand up for yourself. It becomes a way to stand up for your community. It becomes a way to leverage your strengths and create the systems and the tactics and the strategies that you need to persevere and survive. And there's a victory in that, and it's a spiritual victory regardless of what 3D outcomes may be, right? The important thing is for you to be about your spiritual business. Okay. Thank you again, Shirley Chisholm, for your life and legacy and inspiring us now with this message of love, truth, and healing. My dears watching, I hope that this has helped you in some way to refill your spiritual cup, and I hope to see you in another video in this series. Take care and much love.